Hey everyone, Ryan here from Next Level Property Investing. I hope you're well. Why I don't go near the properties once they're operational. Just before we dive into the video, a couple of things. Don't forget to subscribe to the new podcast, How To Property. We're on all the major podcasting channels, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Deezer, all that sort of stuff. Head over to nextlevelpropertyinvesting.com/free-training. I'll remind you at the end of the video what the website is, so don't worry about it. If you want to get 5 days inside my academy for free, you can access all the property strategies and understand how I relate those strategies to my mentees so that they can kickstart their journey and find out what areas work well for them. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get a notification every time I post a video, and leave me some comments below. Let me know what you like about the videos, what you'd like to hear more of, and I'll shoot them for you. So let's dive in. So once a property is operational, I have no interest in going back to it. I feel if I'm going back to it, then I'm getting sucked back into the operations, and that's no good for the business. So I do not really, the only time I really go to the properties during, before they are operational, is to check on the projects. Now, I think it's important that as the owner of the business, that you should be dropping into the sites, and not telling people that you're going either, just dropping in, taking coffees around, baking sandwiches, whatever it might be. I like to make sure that the projects are moving forward and the refurbs are happening in a certain standard, and I also like to keep them on their toes to make sure that we get everything done on time and that we don't miss our deadlines. But once I sign them off as good to rent or good to host, whichever way we decide to run the properties, then I really should not be going back to those properties. If I am going back to the properties, I have to check myself and think, why am I doing this? Why am I getting dragged into a property that's operational? There's no benefit in me doing that. I don't know how many of the videos you've been watching, but you'll have heard on some of my other ones. I'm a firm believer that you have to stay on the acquisition trail if you want to blow your portfolio up quickly. I got sucked into the operations, and it really hindered my growth at one stage. I acquired a lot in a very short space of time, but then I didn't really think about the operational side, and I got sucked into the operations, and I didn't really acquire anything for about 3 months thereafter. Totally slowed my journey down. Love to have that time back again, but I can't. That was a few years ago. Obviously we've kicked on since then, so it's absolutely fine, but I learned a lot from that 3-month period. I actually hated the property game during that period, because all I was doing was managing guests, dealing with tenants, fixing light bulbs, all the things that you don't want to do. At the end of the day, I do not want to be a landlord. I want to be a property investor. I want to make money out of property, and if the byproduct is the tenants and the guests, then I employ people to look after them. I stay on the acquisition trail, because ultimately acquiring more property equals more money. So don't get sucked in, and make sure that when you're operational, you always got to check yourself. You've got to weigh your time up. So there's a great book called Clockwork. I read this, and it kind of changed how I did everything. So effectively, the owner of the business always has to be, or not the owner, but the key person in the business, which tends to be the owner, especially the way we operate as property entrepreneurs. They have to stay on the bringing the money tasks in. So for me, I like to be building relationships, networking, acquiring more property, and doing everything I possibly can to bring money in, winning projects for our refurb teams, winning cleaning and linen projects and management agreements for the SA operation, as well as trying to acquire more property either on the rent-to-rent side or on the BRR side for my own assets. So I like to stay on that trail, and everyone in the team now knows that if they are sucking me out of that role, asking me to, do a silly, ring a utility company because the gas has ran out, or, go over to a house because the washing machine's broken or something like that, then that is just a phone call that they're not allowed to make. They should not be bothering me with that. We have layers in place so that, they go from various people up the ladder of authority, I guess, within my business. And ultimately it protects me from getting sucked into any of that sort of stuff that for me doesn't make the company any more money. I'm only interested in the operations that make the company more money, and ultimately that means me getting out there and making those relationships. I obviously have other people that do the deal sourcing within the business as well, and again their role is deal sourcing. So I do not want them to be affected by operations, fixing light bulbs, dealing with tenants, all that sort of stuff. So make sure that when you are building your business that everyone has clear defined roles, and those roles are never hindered. And if they are getting hindered, then you need to put barriers in place to make sure that everyone understands what they can and cannot bring to that certain person. So typically, a guest handler, for example, I wouldn't really want them to be dealing with, going on a viewing, for example, to try and acquire a property, because that's going to take up, half an hour, 45 minutes of their time, where their time is to manage the guests and obviously try and follow up with the guests to try and get more bookings out of the guests. So that's how they maximize their time, So always have people in the right places. I think one of the mistakes I see quite a lot is people try and do everything. They try and be, the jack of all trades type of thing. And now it doesn't matter who you are. I obviously built my business from where it is, or to where it is from the ground. Obviously, there's a lot of skill in that, possibly a bit of luck in that as well. But I also accept that I am not a very patient person, so I am probably not the best person to deal with guests or tenants when they've got problems. So what I do is I move that to somebody who has got that patient sort of mindset and can deal with them in a better way than I probably could. And by accepting that, it means that you all sit in your own little silos and everybody's good at what they do, and ultimately it means that the business thrives all the time. And the biggest mistake I see is entrepreneurs struggle to give that control over. Most of us are built in the same sort of DNA where we're absolute control freaks and we don't like to give the control over. But I can't tell you how important and how grateful I am that my brain switched around to this, because not only do I have more free time to myself, and for my family, I also means that I can concentrate on the important tasks that bring more money into the business. The business has scaled probably 10x since this mindset shift and since putting these right people in place. And it's really just changed the way that I operate, the way that I view things. I used to have a mindset I had to do everything or no one else could do it right. Trusting people that they can do it right, that they can do probably a better job than you. Recently hired a marketing assistant to help the marketing team, and she's been absolutely fantastic, absolutely blown away with the skills that she's brought to the table. I used to think that I had to do it all, but even though I'd been on marketing mentorships and spent a lot of money and I felt like I was good at marketing, I thought that no one could be better than me. And it's surprising what people can do, and it's people, you give them the chance and you give them the opportunity and you manage them properly, then they will do a great job with you. And I'm a firm believer that as a business owner, you work for the employees, and if you have that mindset and you help them and you work for them and you sort of nurture them along, then you'll get a lot further than if you sort of dictate what they've got to do, control what they've got to do, and give them no freedom to move. So think about it. It's a game changer. It was a game changer for me, and I hope it works for you. It's do not get sucked into the operations. I cannot stress it enough. It's something that I talk about all the time with my mentees. As we build through the 12-week process on the program, we're always talking about business efficiencies and who else can we get to do that role so we can concentrate on acquisitions, who else can we do that role so we can concentrate on bringing more bookings in, that sort of thing. So have a think about it. As always, hope the video helps, and as I said earlier, nextlevelpropertyinvesting.com/free-training if you want to jump inside my academy for free for 5 days. Have a listen to the podcast and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care, everyone.